Good morning, all of you, and I'm so happy to be here today. Today, I'm going to speak to you about personal branding. But the first question I'm going to ask you is, who are we? Okay. Who are you? Who am I? Who are we? What sets you apart? What sets me apart? Do you have a UPI? Do I have a UPI? Can any one of you tell me what is a UPI? Anyone? A UPI is your unique personal identity. It is what makes you stand apart. It's your universal identity quotient. Each one of us is authentic. Each one of us is unique. And each one of us has a UPI. But what is your story? And how are you going to tell that? So before I tell you that, let me tell you my story. I was born into a world of glamour and where the stars shone bright. My father, Sanjay Khan, was a Bollywood actor, and my mother, Zareen Kathrak, was a well-known model. To most, my life seemed, superbly extraordinary, which of course it was. But I think my parents did everything in their power to make their children, my siblings and me, keep us humble and grounded. Because they stressed on, values such as integrity, generosity, charity. And they also encouraged us to read and explore the world and, share our ideas. But most important, they underlined charity at home. And they always told us, because they never saw any inequality among people and they wanted to treat everyone alike. So at home, as kids, I remember growing up, where we were encouraged to play with our household staff's children because it was so important for them to make their children share with our staff what we had been blessed with. And I think that was a very important learning for me. And it made me realize that we are so grateful for what we have, and charity actually begins at home. Growing up, my mom was one of my greatest influencers and inspiration. And I say that because she always believed that one needs to be impeccably dressed, because she always made an effort to dress so well that people would look at her when she entered a room. And I guess that came because she had been a model. But she always stressed on the importance of being well-dressed because she said that it's so important to look good, because when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you're a happier person. She also stressed upon walking tall, keeping a posture that keeps you walking tall, because most people are very, when sometimes you see people and they seem not so confident and they slouch. Now, just imagine I'm standing here in front of you. Sorry, I forgot to do this, but I'm going to do this now. That was me then, and this is me now, and we're going to talk about grooming. Most people slouch, and when you walk into a room, you're like this. And imagine me if I was talking to you like this, or imagine me when I'm talking to you with my posture correct. When you look at me, I look confident because I am confident. But if I was slouching, you would not look at me and would not think that I was confident. So walking tall, walking with a correct posture is very important. And one of the lessons my mom made me do as a child was to walk up and down the room with a book on my head. And to anyone out here who has a slouch, I would definitely tell you to try that, because if you can master that, you would actually correct your posture. But why am I stressing on grooming, and why am I stressing on, a posture? Because it's such an important part of your first appearance. When people look at you, they look at you and they judge you by the way you look before they get to know you. So imagine this, you have two equally talented people in the room. Who do you notice first? You will all obviously notice the one that is well-dressed. And by well-dressed, I don't mean branded attire. I mean being smart, waking up early in the morning, having a shower, getting dressed, smelling good, just basic grooming. And I think that's not very difficult. So that is a very important part of your personality when you first want to build a personal brand. The next thing is communication. As a child, I was a very gawky teenager compared to my siblings who were picture-perfect babies, okay? You saw one of my gawky pictures earlier, and I skipped through it fast because I didn't want you to see too much of it. But I was very, very shy, and I didn't know how to stand out. I was very, underconfident. And I realized that the only way to stand out was to be able to communicate well, because if I communicated, I would be able to reach out to people and touch them with words and command their attention. So my father told me that to learn a word from the dictionary every day. And believe me, at that point, I wondered why he was insisting I do that. But I actually did that. And that exercise helped me become who I am today. Because today I have this extensive vocabulary. I can communicate with anyone, and I know they're going to listen to what I'm saying because I can reach out to them with my words. More importantly, it's not just how you speak, it's not what you speak, but it's also how you speak. The tone, the voice modulation. A lot of people, when they communicate, they're always, very flat. You have people who are good speakers, or who have things they want to communicate to you. But those speakers really can't get across what they're trying to say because they don't engage with their audience. What they're trying to say is very, very flat. So if I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to say, the best way to communicate is to, you can see my voice tone is not very interesting. Or I can say, the best way to communicate is to learn a new word from the dictionary every day. So I'm actually trying to engage in a conversation with you and I'm getting your attention. So please do understand that it's not how you communicate only, it's what you say, and your language should be not a barrier but a tool. Communication is important when you speak the language of your audience and when you speak the language you're more comfortable in. For me personally, from a gawky child to a shy child, I became this confident person. So that was my lesson 2 in personal branding. And the most important personal branding factor that I want to share today is health and fitness, okay? People look at me today and say, you're so fit. And yes, I am, and I'm proud of it. I'm 53 years old, okay? I'm half a century old. And I'm proud of who I am because my fitness began at a very young age. I realized long ago, especially my father had an accident when I was in my teenage years. And that accident almost killed him because he suffered third-degree burns where 65% of his body was burnt. We spent 8 months in Jaslok Hospital trying to get him to live because doctors had given up hope. But during that time that we were there, I joined the Shamak Davar Dance Academy. And I wanted to dance because I wanted to take my personal pain and turn that into, vent that out and turn that into something soulful. That really changed my life. That awakened me. And the fitness that I learned from dancing, because we used to practice 4 hours a day, I was performing with Shamak on stage. That fitness made me who I am today. My body became strong, my mind became stronger, and I was able to deal with the stress that I was going through at a personal level. The personal tragedy that my family and I were going through was much easier to deal with because the endorphins that I was getting when I was working out really made me feel that I could conquer my world at that point, And so I translated that fitness to today. And fitness to me has been a way of life. It's not something I say, okay, let me hit the gym because I want to lose weight, or let me hit the gym because, I want to be thin, or any such thing. I wake up in the morning, just like I brush my teeth, have a shower, I go work out. I go work out because when I go work out, I have this energy in me that I actually spread across the people who work for me. I walk into the office and everyone says, man, you're so energetic. How are you so energetic? I'm energetic because I feel good about myself. My body feels good. I have no aches and pains. I have no health issues. And it's not because I have not looked after myself. It's because I have looked after myself. And I am blessed. So I would tell each one of you, another factor, and the most important factor of personal branding is to be fit, is to have health, because health is wealth. Everything else doesn't count, because you can have all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, and if you don't have health, you can't enjoy it. Am I right? Okay, let's go to the next. So we covered the three things I told you before, which was grooming, communication, health. The next one is authenticity. How do we stand apart? If you're in a room, how do you stand apart? I mean, what makes you different? What makes me different? You have to have something that you believe in. You have to have a drive. You have to have a goal. You have to have a dream. You have to have passion. For me personally, as a designer, when I create my jewels, my jewelry, I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm not just designing because it's, I want to sell jewelry. But for me, no, jewelry is more than that. It's capturing moments in my life, putting it into my work. It's passing down milestones of my clients' lives through generations, because a piece of jewelry is going to outlive them and become an heirloom in their family. For me, it is about putting myself into my work. And when I put myself into my work, that's translated. My clients see that the piece of jewelry makes them happy. It's beautiful. At the same time, they realize the work that has gone into it, and they trust me, and it builds loyalty in my work with them. And so I'm putting so much of myself into my brand because I'm taking my values and I'm putting it there, because when I began my life, I always wanted to create a brand that was original in design, was loved as far as the work, was ethical in values, and commanded customer loyalty. And this worked because when I put myself out there and I put all of this into my brand, my personal ethics, my personal values into my brand, we ended up doing many collaborations with various people. In fact, one of my biggest collaborations was with one of the retail jewelers in India, where we sold in 40 cities, 23 stores, 40 stores, 23 cities. But that was because they could see that I had put a part of me into my brand. So when I come to authenticity, I want you to think about what makes you authentic. What are your values? Are you going to stand by your values, or are you going to go with, move away from them? The greatest test of personal branding is when you are faced with challenges. And because personal branding is about vulnerability, no, not ego, okay? When you come across a challenge, are you going to stick to what you believe in, or are you going to change, And when I say change, I mean move away from your values. I don't mean reinventing yourself, because reinvention is good, but moving away from your brand values, your personal values, is what you should not do, because then people will not take you seriously. You have to stand for what you believe in. So that's being called authentic, and a very important part of personal branding. We then come to positivity. A lot of people ask me, what's the secret of your positivity? We always see your Instagram account and you're like this supercharged, very positive person. And I would say, yes, I am, because I'm so grateful for what we have. I cried because I had no shoes till I saw someone who had no feet. Yeah. So every time I'm down, I always think about what I have. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do, I close my eyes and I pray to God and I say, thank you that I slept well. Thank you that my family is alive. Thank you that I have food to eat. Thank you that I have this room I slept on. I have this bed. I thank God more than 100 times a day for everything that happens in my life. I just close my eyes and I say a quick prayer, which is probably a minute or maybe two, just thanking and just being grateful. And that makes me feel so positive. That makes me feel so good. Because I believe that when you're grateful, you can change your life, you know. Also, when your intent is good, when you don't have any ill feeling or ego or guilt, and you don't wish for others bad, and you only wish for others what you wish for yourself, and you treat others the way you want to be treated, then you're always going to be positive because you have nothing that pulls you down. No guilt, nothing pulls you down, you know. So positivity is so important to feel good. When you feel good, you come across. You're the energy that enters a room and people are drawn to. You're the energy people want to be talking to. And you have to decide, do you want to be that energy or do you want to be the energy that people want to stay away from, right? So positivity is a very important factor in personal branding. And I did cover gratitude, so I'm going to go ahead. In the end, I just want to tell you one thing, that your personal brand has to embody who you are. It has to reflect who you are. I reflect elegance, beauty, trust, authenticity, detailed workmanship. And when people see my brand, see me, they find love, they find happiness, they find positivity. And that's because I embody who I am. So a personal branding is all about taking your value systems, taking what you believe in, and passing it on to what you are presenting, to whoever you want to present. You have to be who you say you are. You have to live the brand. Thank you.